60 minutes, I'm gonna explain to you the full Valorant economy, what to buy, where to go, what to do with your buy, when to buy, how to play with your team, how to push out, what to buy, if you have some extra money left in your pockets, and how to avoid inflation. And I'm gonna stop right there. Everybody likes money, so this is a video about money. Let's go. We have a pistol round. This image, by the way, took me 20 minutes to create. It's crazy, I know. We have a pistol round, so you buy some sort of a pistol plus utility. This is a full buy. A full buy is when you have around 4,000 credits and you can afford some type of weapons like these, and you also buy some ability. Eco round, which consists of mainly just sheriffs, stingers, sometimes marshals for jets, and a lot of utility, like many, like as much as you can. And then we have force round, similar weapons to save round, kind of like a save rounds weapons plus a full buys weapons, and together we combine them and we get outlaw, which is the broken gun in the force rounds. And we have some utility. So these are your rounds. So we have a pistol round, we have a full buy round, we have an eco round, and we have a corner round, which is for us. It is a force. It's a force round. It's a force round. Now let's say you lose your pistol round, and when you lose your pistol round, it brings you to an eco round. And then no matter if you win or lose the eco round, you are always brought a full buy round. And then if you lose the full buy round, you are brought to eco round. And then there are two more ways. Again, doesn't matter whether you lose or not the eco round. After every eco round, you are always brought back to a buy round. Now let's say you win the buy round, that brings you to a double buy round. And the more buy rounds you have, the better your economy. And the bigger the buy round, the further down this line you should be purchasing. If you can, you should buy an operator. This is a triple buy round, and this bulldog is a single buy round. So the more you win, the better your economy gets, the bigger buys you have. Now what happens if you actually win your pistol round? After winning the pistol round, you are always transferred to a force round. This force round is specifically designed against an eco round. Now look at this again. This force round is specifically designed against the enemy's eco round, because you win your pistol round, you are on a force round. They lose their pistol round, they are on an eco round. Your force round is designed to win the eco round. On your force rounds, you should buy weapons like these so you could kill their weapons like these. And now after you win your force round, you should not buy, but you should play this very specific round called bonus round, which means play whatever the hell you have left after the force round. Now let's talk about what to specifically buy on every category for your agent. If you are an aspiring initiator who wants to be the best initiator that is possible, your goal is to reach radiant type shit, I recommend you buy every utility that you can, because that it helps your team take space very easily, clear corners that enemies should not even be hiding in, help your teammates, and then randomly your duelist is gonna die and drop this weapon. That's when you scoop in, you take it and you bring it home, baby. Now if you play a sentinel character, or you're not really sure what the hell your character does and how to be effective with his abilities, or you're just filling, what I like to do is buy a sheriff and just go fight in the middle, because the worst you're gonna face is another player with a sheriff, and very likely, very often, you're just gonna face a ghost and you're just gonna have an advantage over him. If you play some type of a controller, your main priority is to always have 2 smokes, because without smokes your team is not gonna survive. But after you bought your smokes, you can do whatever you want. You got 650 left for your omen. You can buy light armor, paranoia, ghost, shrouded step. You can buy shorty, TP, paranoia. Whatever you feel the most comfortable with, your main priority is to always have the double smoke. And now if you play duelists, it depends. Like, once again, it depends. If you play someone like Reyna, you should buy a ghost. You can buy flash. Flash is very strong, actually. Takes a lot of ghost shots to kill them, and with your ghost you will always be able to heal. You play chamber, you buy your trip, and you buy as much shit as you can on the gun side. And of course you're very strong in middle, you don't have damage fall off. You can even beat sheriffs. Your gun shoots faster than a sheriff. If you're a high movement player, someone like Neon, I've seen some Radiants buy themselves literally a shorty, and their whole point was to just figure out where the enemies are and make it easier for their team. They can catch up to someone, they can stun. When I was climbing with my own Neon, there were still 2 slides left, so I would always buy a frenzy, I buy a stun, and I buy an additional slide, so then you can just clear some corners, you stun the player, and then you dash into his face, and I would normally have another dash, and then you just cook him. So it totally depends on your playstyle and your character. Now we're gonna move on to force rounds. So after winning the pistol round, now your main priority is to beat their eco round. The main point of your force round is to buy full armor. Always buy full armor. This is my medical recommendation. There is one very small exception, very rarely, for like jet players, maybe chamber players, where they buy outlaw and they buy low armor, because they can play in these off angles where the enemies will not even have time to react to shoot, so they can TP out safely and play from safe angle. If you don't want to think, just buy anything that gives you full armor, and then a stinger, specter, maybe bulldog, marshal. If you buy something like a sniper, you can cook them down the middle line. If you have something like a specter, you grab yourself a buddy and you play with your buddy. Most important rule is you always have a buddy with you and you just melt them. You can spray them as they're coming out. Now if you're on attackers, the #1 rule is to always have a buddy. Always go with your team. Do not go out there lurking where you might get picked off by a sheriff, because you die, they pick up your bulldog or whatever, and now it's a 5v4, and you have to deal with a person shooting you with a good gun. So if you're on attackers, always have a buddy, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter how. And if you're on defenders, the #1 rule is to always have a buddy with you. Do not fight alone in a main, because you are on full buy, but attackers are on eco, which means that they're gonna have sheriffs. Once again, if you fight alone, they're just gonna pick you off, you die, you go into the trash can right there. It says jet next to the trash can. I don't know why. Someone's leaving some hits. You get picked off, enemy picks up your gun. Now he's in the green position and you get cooked. You do have 4 people left still, okay, but now enemies have 5 people and they can just utilize and fight with their single vandal that you dropped them for no reason. #1 rule on defenders, on attackers, on force rounds, always have a buddy. #2 rule is to always have full shield. And the third tip that I have for you on a force round is, if you have a choice between buying a flash or a Molotov, it can be Breach's Aftershock, it can be Viper's Molotov, Gecko Molotov, any Molotov that you can think of. I want you to always pick Molotovs. It helps you clear out spaces without your teammates risking dying. On the enemy's eco rounds, they're gonna be playing some sneaky weird positions. While I'm editing, I have noticed that I'm not explaining it as effective or as comprehensive as possible, so I will just re-record this part of the video because I can make it so much more simpler. Whenever you are on force rounds, you are always playing with a buddy, which means you're playing together, 5 stack, A main, whatever you feel like. And the enemies are on eco round, which means most likely they are going to stack one of the 2 sites. And when they stack a site, usually they do not show themselves unless you push through this choke point. Once that they see that the jet dashes onto site, that is when they throw everything on the choke point, which is an omen smoke and a Molotov. So they isolate all of these enemies to stay in a main while they together peek out of all of these ratty angles and fight this one lone jet. And even if the enemies rotate, they pick up Jet's Vandal and then they fight in a 5v4 position with a Vandal. Now, because the eco rounders, the guys who are on low buy, are stacking the site, they have to hide 5 people in the site to make this work. That's when they start to play these ratty angles behind all of these boxes, which you, as the attackers, can clear out before you push through the choke point. Now imagine this is you. You come to A main and the enemies are making no sound because they're waiting for the jet to dash in. Now the reason you buy a Molotov or some type of a aftershock, that's literally the only ability besides Molotov. Take care of these types of angles with your Molotov abilities that are gonna push out the enemies to peek into you before you even execute the site. And now literally every single defender has been cleared out by some type of a Molotov, which now makes it safe for the jet to dash in and for the enemies to flood back in. Thank you. I wanted this to be an 8-minute video, 10 minutes, something like this. Quick explanation. Now I've been recording for an hour and 25. It's still not stopped. My favorite. Now let's talk about EcoNomy. My biggest recommendation, buy a Stinger if you can. You're gonna have 3,300 credits for the next round to afford a Vandal plus small armor. You should always buy a Stinger. If you don't want to buy a Stinger, you can buy a Sheriff. How do you fight on eco rounds? If we're taking defenders, your main goal is to convince your team to stack a site and don't give any resistance to the attackers until they pushed out through this choke point right here. As soon as you know that one person pushed out, this is where you throw all of your shit. That's when you pop your Killjoy mollies, smoke the choke point, you throw the Omen blind, you throw some sky flashes on top, and you mess up the guys that have pushed out. That is when you... Now, very important, as defenders, when you're stacking a site, if nobody pushed out through the choke point, which in B side is this, the choke point. A choke point is something that you push into multiple angles. Delayed jet, for example, dashed in, you do not give the enemies any resistance. You do not throw random raise nades. You do not throw a sky flash to check for information. No. You act like you don't exist. Most importantly, you do not smoke them. What happens when you smoke them? They're gonna be like, oh, let's rotate. They're stacking the site. You should never smoke on your eco rounds if you're stacking a site before anyone pushes through it. Once somebody pushes through it, that's when you throw the smoke from Omen. That's when you throw the blind. That's when you throw the Sage Orb. If you're not able to convince your teammates to stack B site or to stack A site, or you're just not feeling like you're talking, maybe you don't have a microphone, maybe you don't have a text chat, you don't have a keyboard, and you don't even have Valorant installed, what do you do instead? You do what you know how to do. What the hell does that mean? If you are a Phoenix and you know that there's a lineup which mollies off this corner and you can afford a flash and maybe you can afford a frenzy, as soon as you hear someone, you do your stupid play, you get one, you got yours, you die. If you're a jet player and you know that you can buy a Sheriff and you can play this off angle against someone that might push you in the beginning, you play the off angle, you shoot your Sheriff shot, maybe you kill someone, you run away. If you're a chamber, you put your TP down, you buy yourself the Headhunter, you look for picks mid. Maybe you're a Harbor player and as soon as they're pushing the site, you draw some weird waves and you buy yourself a shorty and you hide in one of these cubbies right here. You do what you can. You do some weird shit, right? Maybe you're a Sage, you put the freaking a weird wall. They break. Okay, how do I do it? Imagine this is a Sage wall and they break the wall and now you're playing around the wall in the weird corners, something like that. On attackers, it's much simpler. We cannot do what we want to do because there's gonna be some random chamber waiting for us with an outlaw. If he's on a force round and you're on an eco round and you buy yourself a Sheriff, you always lose the fight against an outlaw. So we cannot do that, right? Okay. Your main goal is to find people who do not obey the first rule of playing with their teammates. So if you know that there's some random Sky who's way too brave for her own good, you buy yourself a Sheriff and you fight her in short range fights. As you can see, Sheriff, if it's any closer to 30 meters, he can one tap in the head. This fight that you can take on A main is 26 meters. Any of these fights in B main is 20 meters. Like once you get into the main and you don't find anything, you can actually still fight something like this. Peeking market, under 30 meters. Peeking city, not good. Same thing in A main. You peek this thing, you're good. You peek this thing, you're not good anymore. Fighting someone behind dice further than 30 meters, right? They can peek you from under. You don't want that to happen. This fight down middle is 47 meters. I cannot peek that. So now what do you do when enemies are not giving you the fights? What do we do if enemies play from very far angles and they're just not giving us the fight? They have this short angle unlocked, they have this long angle unlocked, they have a main angle fighting from far CT. I cannot get a pick. You might be like, well, why don't we just buy a Marshall and peek middle right here? You can. You're most likely gonna lose because Outlaw can one-tap you into a body. Even Marshall can one-tap you into a body and you have to hit a headshot. Now it's low chance. Some Jets do like to try it. Chambers can actually avoid this problem because their gun does not have damage drop off. So if you play Chamber, you're lucky on this one. Now if you don't play Chamber, you have to play with your smokes. If you don't want to take this long range fight, you ask your Omen to smoke it. Now once you smoke this middle, you can actually walk up. Now if this Neon peeks into you, he's fighting your Sheriff, which is below 30 meters. If he backs off by smoking this long range angle, Phoenix doesn't see you anymore, which means that you can walk up. I just died in what? Once you smoke this middle angle, you can push up, you can silently, you can sprint, it doesn't really matter. Main goal is you unlock yourself some spaces where you can take 1v1s, and all of them are under 30 meters except for this one. You don't want to fight there, ignore shopping restrictions. You smoke it. Oh no, what is Glove cooking here? Where's she going? Every single angle is below 30 meters. Is she gonna go up? Now let's talk about the full round. So, main priority, you buy some big gun, right? If you're a smoker, you buy 2 smokes. If you're an initiator, you buy yourself a full big gun. It could be even Bulldog. You buy some armor and you prioritize on your utility. Now, if you're an agent with special needs and special abilities and you're in a triple buy round, you can buy yourself Operator. This is the free ELO gun. Economy is actually very, very important in our lives. If you don't understand economy, you don't understand inflation. Inflation hits even in Valorant.